my dear friends, it pains me to say that although I thought my audio issues were resolved, with this episode, my microphone decided that it couldn't have enough gain, and so you will see that my track is just a little bit too distorted for my own taste. I am used to giving you crisp audio, and unfortunately, here we are. But I do think I know where the issue stands, and I think I can find some more consistency for the last episodes of the year and all throughout 2026 before I get to a big audio upgrade. But now, this premise notwithstanding, I do hope that you enjoy what's coming up, and that is Indie Diary number 82 with Nathan and Mason, who are working on a lovely, super fun little game called Hermit and Pig. I will not spoil anything for you. You will see what they are about to say. So I hope you enjoyed the episode nonetheless. I tried to clean up everything as much as possible. Please forgive me if you experience any sort of disruption to your listening experience. Alright, hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diaries podcast. This is an episode with Nathan and Mason, who got in touch with me. I think you sent me your... Yeah, it's not that I think. You did send me a little overview of your game ahead of the Steam Next Fest, which is Hermit and Pig. But I won't say much about it. I won't say much about you guys. I'll just hand it over to you to say a few things about yourself. Tell the listeners what you do, where you're based, and what you're working on right now. And maybe we'll start from Nathan, who's on the left side of my screen.
Yeah, so I am the developer on Hermit and Pig, so do all the fun coding stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We also, we share a lot of other responsibilities, like working on the plot and the mechanics and just thinking through like all the million decisions we have to make every day. But yeah, mostly the developer. So yeah, that's my thing. And I am in Western North Carolina in the United States.
Okay. And Mason?
My name is Mason. I'm typically an illustrator, cartoonist, but on this project I do the art. A lot of pixel art all day long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well...
Not the smart guy stuff like Nathan does.
I'm sure you do a lot of smart guy stuff as well.
You're also the script.
Yeah. I also do a lot of the like fine detail writing, jokes,
nice, yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
One thing that I should say right away, my sense of humor may be okay in person, but when it comes to actually sitting down and writing jokes, I am useless. So I do admire you a lot for that. I just can't write humor.
I don't know if I can.
All right, well,
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I'm sure you're just being modest, but... So, you know a little bit about the show already, so it is very much a show on the human stories behind indie game development. These are kind of indie diaries, but before we get into the origins of your story and how you got to your current game and such, I want to do a little segment which is called an icebreaker. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to answer as many as you possibly can within 60 seconds. So you just have to be super concise. And there's going to be background music because it's going to feel a little bit like a quiz show. So are you guys ready? And we're going to do one question each.
Ready.
Perfect. So let me just kick off the music here, which you will hear live. And you should be hearing live right now. So... what's the first game you ever fell in love with? And let's start with Nathan.
Pokemon Red on Game Boy.
Okay, good choice, yeah. Mason, if you could only play one genre for the rest of your life, what would it be?
RPGs.
Yeah. What's the most underrated game everyone needs to play, Nathan?
Man. That's a tough one.
Well, we can skip. If you want, Mason, you can answer that one. If you
yeah,
want.
Mason, you got one?
Mischief Makers.
Mischief Makers. Okay. Now, it's your game in one sentence. This can be either of you.
It is a comedic turn-based adventure RPG about a hermit and truffle pig, mushrooms, truffles, anxiety, stressful combat, etc.
Corporate conspiracy.
Oh yeah, corporate conspiracy.
Too. Love that. Okay, perfect. What's your guilty pleasure game? Something you love but you know isn't perfect. Nathan, maybe? You think of something there?
Jeez, I am so bad at this.
Think stuff like Call of Duty, because that's definitely mine.
Yeah, Halo.
Halo, yeah, okay, why not?
Halo's kind of perfect, though, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's true, it kind of is, yeah, well, it's alright. Okay, we're at time. Actually, we covered most of the list, and I wouldn't say that we did bad at all, so now we can relax. Now, the listeners know a little bit more about you, and the music has stopped, hopefully, on your side as well. So now we can just slow down and really talk about what you guys are doing and why you love doing what you're doing so much. So with these episodes, I always like to start from the beginning, from the origin, so to speak. So for chapter 1, I'd like us to focus on, those early video game memories. So I'm going to ask both of you, actually, what is your earliest or fondest memory that has to do with video games? And either of you can start.
I guess I can start since I mentioned Pokemon Red.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that's my first because we definitely played a bunch of like DOS games on like the old computers.
Mm-hmm.
But my brother gave me his gray brick Game Boy for Christmas one year. 'Cause I think he
Okay.
got like the Game Gear and he was like, I don't need this anymore, so you can have it because you're my little brother. So anyway, Pokemon Red was the one I got for that, and man, did I play probably hundreds of hours on it. Maybe not. It's hard to tell when you're a kid, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was definitely my first like game that I just played the hell out of. And honestly, it's served me kind of well for Hermit and Pig, being a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, of course. Right, and Mason, what about you?
The strongest memory I would say is in, I guess, preschool. Someone brought a Game Boy somehow. I don't know if he snuck it in. It was a contraband situation, but he was playing Wario Land, I guess. That black and white Game Boy, and I loved the art of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like irreverent, I would say. There were weird things happening. And yeah, I was just blown away by he was like picking up enemies and throwing them, and
Yeah.
all that stuff, smashing through things. It was like, wow, this is special.
I mean, the similar beginnings, although I mean, you found the game, you saw the game in school, and Nathan, you received it. It was passed on to you. But yeah, no, it seems like you had very, very similar beginnings when it comes to games, and you kind of answered this already, Nathan. So maybe this is one from Mason. But those early games, do you think they're having an influence on Hermit and Pig, or in general on the games that you like making now?
For sure. Link's Awakening was the first Game Boy game I got.
Mm-hmm.
I think either Kirby or Link's Awakening, but Link's Awakening, the old one, has definitely influenced Hermit and Pig greatly, I'd say. Just the feeling of exploring this like simple world, but it still feels rich somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also got Legend of the River King, like somewhere down the road, which is kind of like what spurred Hermit and Pig, where it's like a hobbyist, like fishing, but it's also an RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, mushroom hunting, but an RPG was kind of like the
Well, yeah, I can see how you'd be influenced by that, and well, obviously, there's always that moment when you realize that playing games is fun, but what about making them? It might be interesting too. So, when was that moment for you guys, and was it kind of like a light bulb moment, or did it just sort of happen?
It was on my 5-year plan, as corny as that is.
Okay.
And I knew Nathan was really smart.
What year was that?
I want to say like 2020 was when it started, when I drew the guys.
Okay. A lot of people started in 2020, interestingly. So you're not the first ones. Yeah.
That was the year you first asked me. It was actually pre-COVID, or like before it blew up, I remember. I think it was like January or February of 2020. So Mason can say he had the idea before the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So
you
should be really proud of that.
Like that. I'm pre-lockdown IP.
He's a hipster.
Uh-huh. What would you say spurred that? Like, was there something that like made you say, "Oh yeah, I think we can make this game together," or yeah?
I wasn't sure. I definitely was kind of trying to feel it out with Nathan, like what would be possible.
Mm-hmm.
I was like maybe 4 years into web development at that point, so I guess
he had like
a good baseline. Like he's a programmer, he might want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we've known each other since the 6th grade. So.
All right, okay. I didn't ask, but I did wonder, because sounds like I think I caught something there where you were talking about the past, and you said a we, and we were like, oh, you guys have been knowing each other for a long time.
For sure.
No,
we used to.
Yeah.
We've done all sorts of stuff together, like music and
nice
film, quote unquote. It's probably not high quality enough to call it film.
It's okay. I mean, it's still film.
Art and other stuff. So It was kind of cool once we started to realize, like, as we were building Hermit and Pig, like this is kind of a culmination of a lot of the stuff we've already done together.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So like the storytelling aspect of the film
Yeah.
side and the music, obviously we do all the music ourselves. So our history has converged quite
Yeah.
nicely on this project.
Yeah, and believe it or not, it's not uncommon. Like, there's a lot of people out there who say, "Oh yeah, I'm making games because it's a combination, it's a convergence, as you say, of all of the things that I love. I love music, I love direction, and I love writing, I love art, and I love games. So everything comes together in one under one umbrella." And I think whenever I do some game jams here and there, that's the kind of thing that I feel as well. Like I've got so many interests across the entire creative spectrum that games just feel like the natural convergence of that all, and I think that's the right word. Um, well, obviously, now we're getting closer to the present, obviously, but like, what would you say in all these years is a big development challenge that you guys have overcome together, and how has it changed the way you will working on Hermit and Pig from that moment onwards? I know they're two different questions, but yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's a
I mean
hard one.
specifically like development wise.
Mm-hmm. Or related to the project, yeah, could be anything that comes to mind.
Well, yeah, I've got a couple coming to mind just on the development side because it's, A, I'm self-taught in web development and B, self-taught in game development. So like
Mm-hmm.
there's been a couple things that if I had known what I was doing from the start, we could have like, finished this quite a bit quicker. Specifically on Game Maker, like they don't really have a great UI system. So I think it was last October. We were pretty far in. We had released a demo and stuff, but I basically realized there were a lot of holes in what we wanted for the UI system. And I just basically dismantled it completely, redesigned it, and rebuilt it to
Okay.
like account for those holes. And it took like 3 or 4 months, and it was like a crazy thing.
Yeah,
But now
wow.
that I know like how that should work, for a future game, it would be really easy to just like reuse what I've built here. Similar for like optimization issues, handling tons of entities on the in the room or on the screen, and like interacting with those entities, as well as like collision. We use like a 1 pixel collision tile map, which is like super inefficient. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
nice for like the organic feel of our game, but we definitely could have gotten away with like a 4x4 or something, which would have like used a quarter of the processing power. So
Mm-hmm.
some stuff like that, I've had to rework and redo. So I don't know if that exactly answers your
Well, it,
question,
it
but
kind of does. Yeah, I don't know.
those
I
are
think it
those have
does.
been like the big roadblocks in like the specific development.
Yeah. Any
Outside
big?
of like the technical side, I feel like we've had definitely a few like rewrites of the plot.
Mm,
This is our like third or fourth version of the demo because we kept fine tuning it and figuring out what people like respond to and how they interact with the game. Yeah, I don't know. Mason, you got anything else on that?
Around that time that Nathan was redoing the UI, I redid a bunch of the environmental art, which was like a huge task. Yeah, I guess it was all of it. Yeah. First time pixel artist, you learn a lot from doing it, from looking at things. Like I wouldn't say I was even like very tuned into like the community, like the online pixel art community. So yeah, just learning a lot about that. I mean, we knew we wanted it to look like kind of just like a little different, but I didn't have a great vision of what it could have been. So I guess like yeah, taking time to hammer that out would have been nice, and will probably happen on the
Yeah,
next
well,
one.
I guess that's unfortunately sometimes the nature of game development. You learn a lot in the process, and then you look back at, and in your case, Nathan, I'm sure it's happened a few times. You look back at lines of code that you wrote maybe even just 6 months ago, and you're like, "What the hell was I thinking there?"
Yeah, for sure.
That is
Uh,
absolutely natural, and obviously, in hindsight, with the benefit of hindsight, you'd be doing a lot of things differently. But it's a learning process. I'm sure that you will carry it forward, so to speak. So yeah, right. Well, I'm interested in one thing that you said even before we started recording this episode, which is, and also you kind of mentioned as well earlier on, that is, it's a Hermit and Pig is a game about social anxiety as well. So I'm curious about the themes of the game. First of all, what would inspire them and such, why you chose to tell a story like this, and why they mattered so much to you.
I feel like the social anxiety piece came a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, Mason, I feel like you've talked a lot about like mushrooms as like and like connection and community being big themes like when you first started thinking about this.
For sure.
So I don't want to step on your toes on that, but
Oh no, step away.
Step away.
No, yeah, I guess it was like the theory that like mushrooms kind of take care of the environment, which I don't think is scientifically proven exactly, but like they certainly interfere with like the growth of forests. And as a hermit, that's like an isolated position, but we kind of wanted to push a character into reconnecting and being like a steward of these things.
Nice.
Like, community health, we'll say.
Yeah.
But I want to say, Nathan, I think you pitched the conversation thing because of a book you read, right?
yeah, I think I read God, I don't remember what the name of it actually. There was some book about an actual hermit who lived, I think, in Maine, and he basically survived by like breaking into people's vacation homes and stuff. Which isn't exactly the point of the the social anxiety thing, but I think he did him talking about like wanting to retreat from society and all that. I figured it was kind of a natural thing for our hermit to have social anxiety, and I guess I connected that to the battles that we have. And so I thought it might be a fun idea to like make conversations battles. And I mean, they are to an extent, maybe not like full on battles, but you are like up against the timer and you're in the same like battle room as you are, and you can take cringe damage.
Cringe damage. Well, that's very good narrative design, though. Like, just you turned a core element of the story into a key gameplay mechanic. I think it's genius. And it's also very interesting in terms of the mushrooms. Yeah, obviously, I mean they help a lot with biodiversity and such. So I don't think you're too far from the truth there. I mean, even though they might not directly influence the ecosystem, they definitely do it in an indirect way. Just like
I'll say, I don't.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily the point, but it is. I think it is proven that trees use the mycelium to like communicate and share resources with each other.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah,
I've heard about that. Yeah, that's.
I'm not sure if there was other stuff that you were thinking about, Mason, but I do think that is an actual thing.
There's. I read Entangled Life by Merlin Sheldrake.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just been some pushback on like the way he framed it. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I think there's like everyone's like, well, wait, they're like mushrooms are also opportunistic and they're like taking things, but we'll just ignore that part when you're playing the game.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, and about playing the game and such. Obviously, your demo has been out and about for now, and people have had a chance to play it and such. So, what would you say has been one of the most memorable reactions someone has had to Hermit and Pig?
The kids at MagFest.
Yeah, those kids at MagFest. Also, the kids like the first time it was played in public was at EGX in London, and I just happened to have a family trip there at the same time. 23. Well, we were in that little like I can't remember what they call it, the left field.
Yeah, the small room. Yeah.
Okay, the little like corridor that they set up.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was the first time I got to see it played by anyone other than family. And yeah, there was like these two kids who were like crazy about it, and they were like laughing, and even though they kind of struggle with the battle mechanics, that was like my first like, wow, this is amazing.
Right.
But yeah, Mason mentioned MagFest. Those are like those teenagers, right?
Yeah,
and they were having a great time with it.
Nice.
They were just like screaming and like all the emotions were on the sleeves. They were like yelling about surprising Like I remember the first time Hermit got lower back pain during battle, and they were like pretty excited about that.
Yeah, they appreciated all of our jokes, and then I think even more so, like appreciated some of the like battle
Mhm.
tension that we were hoping people would experience that we kind of built in, like I don't know, like hitting the critical hit on the timer while
Right.
the turtle is doing his defensive move, so like you only have a very small window, and they like uh hit that moment and we're freaking
Mhm.
out. I don't know if that's the exact moment, but there was definitely some like several battle moments that we like imagined creating for people but hadn't actually seen like people
Mhm.
get. So yeah, it was cool to see them do that. I think they were playing on hard, right? So that maybe they got
Yeah.
more of those like tense moments because of that. But yeah, that was fun.
Right, right. Well, yeah, that must have been very unique and cool experiences for you guys for sure. I'm thinking. So obviously, the game is quite packed with a lot with a nice and neat connection, a collection, not connection, collection of features. What's one each? One for you guys. What's the one mechanic or even I don't know element in your game that you're particularly proud of, especially proud of? Maybe start with Mason.
I'm probably gonna have to say the
Mm.
conversations. I feel like it's like a nice little package of collaboration between us. With Nathan being the macro and me being the micro
Mhm.
detail kind of thing. And it's just been like really fun to write that
Mhm.
stuff and pull on my influences, video games and books and movies. Uh, and there's like it gives me a ton of space to work on character design. Um, so yeah, I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud
Okay.
of.
Nathan, what about you?
I might have said the same thing,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I really like our battle system.
Mhm.
I know it like the combos aren't for everybody and like the quote unquote memorization, even though you don't really have to memorize it. I think it's pretty cool. And like I I guess I might have said if I had talked more about my history, like I love Pokemon Red,
Mhm.
but that was maybe like the last time I played a turn-based RPG until maybe watching my wife play Paper Mario in like college or something. So it
Okay.
wasn't really like a big thing for me, and I think part of that is maybe like this how a lot of turn-based uh, games can kind of drag in the battles, and they can be pretty repetitive. And like you hit A, I mean that was like Mason's big thing is like you just hit A bunch, and so we've added these combos and the timer, and you got to check your handbook to see what the combos are if you don't remember them. And so there's just a lot more like active stuff happening, and we really made it a point to like make these kind of fast pace. So I am really proud of how all that's turned out. We've tweaked them and adjusted them so
Yeah.
many times and like fine tuned them, and I think they're in like a really good shape.
Mhm.
And I'm excited. I'm especially excited for people who are excited about them. And like I said, there's definitely people who aren't into like the timer and the memorization, so they use
Mhm.
like the simple mode or the story mode, which is
You
totally
can
fine.
please everybody, yeah. But
Yeah, we're more than happy to provide that for people. But I do think like our base battle system is really fun,
Mhm.
and it has been cool to see like a lot of other games doing more in their turn-based
Mhm.
systems. I mean, obviously Expedition 33 is the big one, but I feel like there's been a bunch of others. And even
Mhm.
like Paper Mario and Luigi has historically done
Yeah, especially because
stuff to engage people. So those have been
yeah.
huge influences for us. But yeah,
Yeah, especially because a lot of people kind of look down on turn-based RPGs because they see them as you described them, like in the early days they were a lot more static. Now everybody who approaches turn-based RPGs, well, everybody who likes to experiment, they do put in a little bit more dynamism and like in your case, the combos and having to memorize the combos, but Expedition 33 with a parry system and such. So yeah, there's a little bit there's a lot for everybody, I would say. And if you like the more old school stuff, there's still those turn-based games that you can enjoy today. So yeah, but well, believe it or not, we're actually very close to the end. And by the way, listeners, if you like how all of this sounds, you can find a link to Hermit and Pig in the description, and you can wish us the game. You can wait for it eagerly for its release, and whatnot. But we are approaching the end of the episode, believe it or not, and now it's time for my favorite part of the episode, I suppose, which is all about reflections and kind of thinking about your journey so far. So, as if the other two bits, the other two sections weren't introspective enough. This is gonna get even worse. So here's a question that I love asking everybody who comes to the show: why are you guys game developers? What is it that drives you forward? Yeah, I know. Feel free to take the stage, either of you. I'm not gonna put anybody on the spotlight.
Well, since this was all Mason's idea, I don't know if you want to take it or you want me to. All right. Yeah, I mean, so I have this kind of weird winding background of I went to school, including grad school, in international development. I was like, wanting to help people and do good work and stuff. And not that I don't still want to help people, but I just found like the day-to-day work of it wasn't really to my taste. I realized I think I needed something a little more technical and more problem-solving and
That's fair enough. Yeah.
less like writing reports and fixing people's CVs was something I had to do a lot, which is weird. So anyway, I only did that job for about 8 months, and I switched over to doing web development because there was such like a low barrier to entry as far as like technical fields at the time.
These days, yeah.
There was just so many free resources, and it was really easy for me to get into that. So basically, I just sort of landed there and never really like cared that much about it. It was like it was fine. It was, at best like kind of nice to do some problem solving, and at worst just like really boring and repetitive. And so when Mason approached me about this project, I was a little skeptical at first. As we mentioned, he approached me in 2020, and I kind of rejected him at that point. I just didn't have really time for it. But then he approached me again like a year later, and I was like, okay, I think I can probably like sit down and see if this could work for me. And just as I like started to look into it, I realized like, man, this is everything about web development. Like the parts of web development I do like, this is like everything that is, because it's like I really liked all the visual stuff, doing like the exclusively like front end, like interactive or like artistic elements of web development. And obviously game development is completely visual, completely interactive, completely giving people like something fun to do. So yeah, that side was really, really enticing. And then the music side also has been pretty fun, since that's like been our main background together historically. But then also just like getting to work with Mason and like reconnect, and get to spend a lot of time doing a creative endeavor together has been really great. So yeah, I think for me, like game development is just a way to like flex the creativity muscle and to collaborate with a good friend and challenge ourselves and just do something that's pretty rewarding. Like I guess going back to like seeing those kids and anyone who we've watched enjoy it has been also like super rewarding in a way that corporate web development never will be. So.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean that's been the sort of impetus behind the jump for me. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably one of the most comprehensive answers I've received to this question. I mean, it's really, really, really nice to see how game development kind of pulls at the right parts of your interest, or just captures you the right way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which isn't to say there aren't times where it's infuriating and overwhelming.
Of course,
but
yeah.
Like
I'd
say 90% of it is like just really, really enjoyable. It's always those like points where you are about to interact with the public, like you're about to put out a release. That's when it gets like just crazy. So hoping to find ways to make that easier and more seamless in the future. But I feel like that's probably a hard ask, to be honest. But anyway, glad to provide that answer, I guess.
Yeah, no, you definitely did. And what about you, Mason?
I think for me, it's a nice. Well, other than hanging out with Nathan and talking all day every day, I would say like it's kind of a nice change from comics. Though I love comics, and I would never trash comics. It's a nice thing to be able to insert someone into a world. Like comics, you're like it's kind of like a meta thing where you're like you're directing this film that's on paper in your mind, but you're just really you're in the driver's seat on a video game, and you can put as much discoverable like dialogue or reactions to things as they want to engage with. So I think that's really cool. It allows us to like basically just do whatever we want, and let them kind of free in the sandbox of the video game.
Yeah, and I
think that's really appealing.
And I see what you mean, because I mean, every time I just drop a character in like an engine, it's just a magical feeling for me in general. And then to see things come together and come to life, it's just special, you know. And I'm not an artist; I'm more a writer than I'm anything else. But you know, creating your own worlds, as you put it, in a way, I think it's something really, really special about game development. Something that's really hard for any other art to replicate. So, yeah. Well, I've got one last question for you both, and that is about the future. So, if you the future, those that come after, to stay in the Expedition 33 theme. So, if as I mentioned at the beginning, these are kind of like indie diaries, kind of memoirs of the people that do come onto the show for me, or at least that's how I see them. So if this were your final journal entry, the last note that you leave to the world, what is one message you would leave behind for players or fellow developers coming after you?
Dang.
This one does stop a lot of people and get them to think. So yeah, take your time.
I feel like I'll leave Mason to like the thematic like stuff behind Hermit and Pig, maybe.
Okay.
But I would say for people who are making games, developers, man, that's tough. I would say, it's going to be really, really hard. And whenever people tell you that it's going to be hard, you should believe them. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. And if you're into it and you enjoy it, just keep working on it, keep getting feedback, keep trying to make it better, and
simplify where you can.
I have a weird relationship with that main piece of advice, which is to start with a small game.
Okay, I've heard it many times. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. That's like the main thing that people tell you. And while in theory I kind of agree, I think if you're brand new, if you haven't programmed before and you haven't done art before, then yes, definitely start small. But if you do have sort of a background in the skills that game dev requires, I don't know. For me, like, I don't think a small game would have motivated me very much. I think I would have probably gotten bored with it, and I think we probably still went too big for Hermit and Pig. I think there could have been like a middle ground for like a commercially viable version of Hermit and Pig. Could have been a smaller thing, but I don't know. I think like a small game might not be that interesting, and it might not like sell. Not to say we've sold a single copy of Hermit and Pig, so we'll see how that goes upon release. Yeah, I don't know. I would say to people, if you hear that advice, maybe don't always take it, but also like try to cut things where you can, and try to keep the scope within a realistic limit for your skill set. So I'd say just be reasonable about your skill set before taking or ignoring that advice.
Yeah, unfortunately, scope creep does happen. It's something that we've seen a lot, and a lot of people do warn against that, and to an extent seems to be unavoidable as come up with new ideas and
Yeah.
the game grows. But
Probably
yeah.
you can guess by my answer to that piece of advice. I'm the one that's probably most guilty of scope creep. Mason always has to rein me in, but that's a huge learning thing too. Like
hmm
learn how to create basically like the minimum viable product and like
hmm
keep scope at a limit, and make the best thing you can while being able to stay interested and passionate about it. And yeah, but also don't ever add multiplayer or online multiplayer to it until you're like your 10th game probably.
Yeah, I've heard that's nightmare fuel. Like the networking and such is just
Yeah.
a pain. And you, Mason, you've had plenty of time to think about your answer now. So yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about Nathan's in real time. I should have been focused. I would say thematically,
Mhm.
I feel like we're in a very isolated time. I feel like it. Oh, I won't get conspiratorial. Hang on. I feel like
Well, you can if you want.
okay. I feel like it benefits certain people that that we are divided. I'm probably stating the obvious here, but I think we just need to remember like we have common interests as people, and we need to like focus on each other's well-being. So we can all be better and live better. And I think that's like a major theme of Hermit and Pig is like why are all these people getting stepped on by these few
I don't think
people?
that's conspiratorial at all. I mean, it's just
Yeah, I tried my best.
the rich, as they say. I mean, it's not necessarily advice I would
Nothing
not
new.
stand behind. But yeah. Okay, well, I mean, guys, this was a lovely episode with both of you. I think we covered some interesting topics, and we talked about some really, really, really heartfelt stuff, which is something I always care about. So my only real last question for you is some parting words from you. So where can other people find you? And if they do, what is the best way to support you?
Please wishlist our silly game.
Wish lists are the best
on
thing right
Steam.
now. But yeah, we are on most of the social medias. Blue Sky and TikTok, Discord. I mean, Instagram, kind of.
Sadly, the
You
ones
can
owned
find
by
all
billionaires
those.
too. So
Yeah.
you have to
We
be
did
there.
get off Twitter, but
No, I got off Twitter as well myself. I mean,
yeah.
that's where I had the biggest following, but
I know,
absolutely
I was
not.
gonna say,
Anyway.
that is a shame because we did have a better following there and better interactivity there than Blue Sky. But that's fine. But yeah, you can find all that at hermitandpig.com. But yeah, like Mason said, just the Steam page, hit that wish list button. That means the most right now.
Okay. Perfect. And of course, I will put all of the relevant links in the description of the episode, so that people can find you and wish us your game and support you in every way possible. So yeah, well, what can I say if not thank you, Nathan and Mason? This was a lovely episode to record together, and I wish you all the best.
A lot of fun.
Wishing you all the best with Hermit and Pig, and I can't wait for it to come out because I feel like it's one of those games that I may enjoy myself from start to finish. So yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. All right, friends, that's a wrap on another episode of the Indie Diaries podcast. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Nathan and Mason for being lovely guests. It was just a lovely conversation. Loved having you on the show, and I truly wish you all the best with Hermit and Pig. So, listeners, if you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and check out the other episodes that I have on the Indie Diaries here on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you're listening to the Indie Diarist. And also make sure to check out my YouTube channel because I'm being much more active there with live streams and video essays. I've already published 2 of them, and there's going to be a 3rd one before the end of the year. You can find links to all of this in the description of the episode, and also on theindiediarist.com, where you will also find links to my Patreon. And just a little note on my Patreon, I have just relaunched my Patreon tiers. There's a lot more benefits now that do include YouTube benefits and access to videos in advance, so do make sure to check that out. Lastly, I want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, Peleg, my one patron for now, who's been with me since the beginning. Thank you, my man. I don't know where I'd be without you. I'll speak to you in the next episode of the Indie Diarist.